Whether you're chasing a dream, making a bold move, or simply stepping outside of your comfort zone, the biggest obstacle isn't out there, it's in you. My next guest will break down the biggest barriers that are holding you back from reaching your goals and give you a powerful method to put them together and push past them, that is. Speaker Ashlee Stratton is joining me with more. Welcome to the studio, Ashlee.
Thank you.
So
I'm
good
so
to have
excited
you
to be here.
So you work with women of all different backgrounds, right? And you recently interviewed about 100 women who have ambitious goals. We've got to say that. They had big, ambitious goals. And you found that there was kind of maybe one thing in common with the challenge that they were facing. What was that?
So it all started after I had my fourth baby, and I saw other women pursuing their goals, and I wondered, is there a place for me? Can I do this? And I felt a little bit of that imposter syndrome. So I started interviewing women on the goal-setting process, women who were pursuing big, ambitious goals. And I asked a lot of the same questions over and over again to see if a pattern would emerge, and a pattern did emerge. But it was a plot twist. It was one that I wasn't expecting. So when I'd ask them, what's a challenge you had to overcome to reach your goals? I got a similar answer over and over again. So I had a real estate investor tell me, my biggest challenge is one I haven't overcome yet, and it's myself. And I had a professional speaker tell me, you know, my biggest challenge was believing I belonged in this space and that I was good enough, smart enough, and could really do it. And I had a children's book illustrator say the negative head trash. And I could literally go on and on and on. And so it was this similar answer over and over again. So I created a method and a speech that goes along with overcoming these mental barriers, and I give it all over now, and it's really my passion.
Okay, this is so neat. So really kind of this fear that we have within ourselves, right? We are our own worst enemy. We hear that phrase all the time. So you created this idea of A cubed is kind of the philosophy. So walk me through this, starting with the first one, which is about allowing the fear, right? What do you mean by that?
So most people, when they have fear, they reject it. They're like, oh, I shouldn't feel fear. I shouldn't feel anxious. But Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players of our times, he said that when he was a young player, he'd be consumed with fear to the point where he'd say, I shouldn't feel anxious, I shouldn't feel stressed, and it would do nothing but grow when he tried to reject it. But when he'd allow it to be there and say, I am feeling anxious, I am feeling scared, then he had the ability to look at it for what it was, which was nothing more than his imagination. So I had an experience like this with a negative feeling, but it was actually vertigo, and I was bedridden. I was so dizzy. I had MRI, CT scans, and doctors couldn't find out what was wrong with me. And I came across a book called Rock Steady, and in that she said, don't fight the vertigo, just allow it to be there. And I was like, what, allow it to be there? But I just tried it, so when I went to sleep, I just allowed the vertigo to be there. And I felt extra dizzy doing this, but I fell asleep for the first time in months after having the vertigo, which is allowing it to be there. And I learned a powerful lesson that day. I learned that when we fight any negative feeling, whether it's fear or even vertigo or imposter syndrome, we're telling our brains it's an important feeling, so our brains recreate it and recreate it. But if we allow it to be there by acknowledging it ourselves or acknowledging it to someone else, saying, I do have this fear, then our brains can calm down and we can make a better decision.
Okay, so interesting. So once we kind of get past the fear, we've allowed it, we've worked through it, what's our next A?
Okay, it's attention. So these first two steps go hand in hand. First we say, you know what, I do have this fear, and then we shift our attention. So we identify the fear and we say, how do I want to feel instead? Shifting our attention into what I call an attention shifter. So I'll share with you an example of this. So I competed in my first piano competition when I was in 8th grade, and my hands got really shaky and nervous, and I bombed. And so I showed my score to my piano teacher, and she said, what happened? And another time I was performing in front of about 500 people, same thing, shaky hands, bombed. And so I mentioned to you before the show, I competed at Miss Utah in 2009, and guess what I chose for my talent? The piano.
There you are. Oh my goodness, stunning.
And so I told my piano teacher, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this without shaking to death. And I have experience, you know, to back me up. But my piano teacher pulled out a white 3x5 card, and she said, how do you want to feel? And we wrote down strong, confident hands. And instead of saying shaking hands, because she said when you say, I don't want my hands to shake, you know, all your brain pictures is your hands shaking. So I practiced this card, read it over and over again, and I walked on that stage and I played the most difficult piano piece of my life flawlessly. So I had shifted my attention from that fear place, acknowledging it to someone else, saying, I do have this fear, and was able to break through it.
Okay, so once we've allowed the fear, we've shifted our attention.
Yes.
What's number 3?
This is my most exciting one, and it's action.
Okay.
So all of the confidence studies out there say that the quickest way to build confidence is to take action. And not only just take action, but take immediate action. So I do this exercise with my speeches. I've had several audience members take this challenge of doing immediate action right during my speech on a goal that feels fearful or scary.
Give me an example. What do you mean, like doing it right now?
So I say in my speech right now, I have them give them like 3 minutes of pause time.
Okay.
And I encourage them to take action on a goal that we've already identified at the beginning of my speech that feels fearful or scary. So I had a guy come up to me afterwards and he said, you know what? I have been putting off talking to a client for months because I've been so nervous. But I just decided to do it during your speech. I sent him an email. The guy called him during my speech. He had to get up, walk out, and they scheduled an appointment to work together afterwards.
Oh, that is so cool.
So sometimes we just have that fear holding us back, and really all we need to do is take action.
So how do you feel like us women can implement this in our daily lives?
So by remembering that it's a practice. Sometimes we jump into that first action, and it does not go well. But I'm a pianist, so I like to think in piano terms. And if I come to the piano and I'm playing along and I make a mistake, am I just going to throw the song out and say, oh, I'm never learning this song again? No. I know that practicing is part of the process, and we have to commit to 2 things, the time and the practice it takes together, knowing it's not going to be a perfectly straight line.
Okay, now, and this is a big stat that I read. You say that we are 95% more likely to achieve our goal if we use one trait. What is it?
And it is having an accountability appointment.
Oh, okay, what do you mean by that?
Okay, not even just accountability partner, but an appointment. Knowing someone's going to be holding you accountable to this goal, checking in with you every Monday or the first Friday of every month, whatever that is for you. It makes a huge difference.
Oh, Ashlee, these are such good ideas and really things that I feel like we can each work on and practice. I think that part is so good. I love that you said that. We can practice it each day in our daily lives. So thank you so much for sharing this. Where can we connect to find more from you?
The best place is on my Instagram, on LinkedIn, or on my website. I'm Ashlee Stratton on all of them, ashleestratton.com. And so you can find me there. It's really easy.
Okay, you're amazing. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.